Hello again. Today we're looking at math from days 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to divide this unit up in different videos. So today we're going to start with day 1. Okay? We're looking at division with decimals. And when you divide by whole number into a dividend with a decimal, you put the decimal directly above the decimal and the dividend in your quotient. So you'll put it right there. And now we're going to divide this out. Okay? Going back from many months ago, if you remember your rules, when you're dividing by a two-digit number that ends in a 5, 6, 7, 8, or a 9, you can estimate your dividing by adding 1 to your first number. So we can estimate by dividing the numbers by 8. You look at 8. How many times will 8 go into 74? Well, if you know your times tables, you know that would be 9. So that 9 goes directly above the third number in your dividend. And you say 9 times 8 is 72. And 9 times 7 plus 7 is 70. 8 minus 2 is 6. 4 minus 0 is 4. Now you bring down your 8. Okay? You can estimate by 8 again. 8 goes into 46. Okay? It normally would go 5 times, but you're going to have too much of a remainder. And for time's sake, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you it is 6. 6 times 8 is 48. And 6 times 7 plus 4 would be 46. So that will be a remainder of 0. Your answer is 0.96. Look at the decimal. It goes directly above the decimal in your dividend. Okay? So that's day 1. I'm not sure if y'all have had that before. That's a review. I know when we've dealt with money, you've done that before. Alright, day 2 is annexing zeros when dividing. Okay? When you divide a number by a number, it won't always come out even. But sometimes you have to keep going until it comes out even. And that's what we're doing in day 2. Okay? I have 6 into 39. This is letter C on number 1 on day 2's assignment. Okay? 6 goes into 39. Okay? 6 goes into 39 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36. 9 minus 6 equals 3. Okay? According to the directions, we have to keep dividing until it comes out even. Okay? So we can't just say 6 remainder of 3. To keep dividing to make it even, you add a decimal to the end of it, and you annex or add a 0. Okay? Now, you bring the 0 down, and now you say 6 into 30. Okay? 6 goes into 30 5 times. 5 times 6 is 30. And now you have a remainder of 0. Okay? Pay attention to your decimal. If you remember back from the day 1 instructions, when you have a decimal and a dividend, you just place it directly, the decimal directly above in the quotient. So 6 into 30 is 6.5 or 6 5/10. Okay? Sometimes it takes more than just 1 0. Okay? So let's look at this next problem, which is problem 2b. Okay? 8 into 26, we know, goes 3 times. 3 times 8 is 24. 6 minus 4 equals 2. Okay? Now you add your decimal and a 0. What I would do, I would just go ahead now in my quotient, just put the decimal directly above the decimal in the dividend. Okay? Now bring down your 0. Okay? 8 and the 20, we know, goes 2 times. 2 times 8 equals 16. 20 minus 16 equals 4. Alright? We still have a remainder. We can't leave it this way according to our directions. So what you do is you annex another 0. You don't do another decimal, but you do annex another 0 or add another 0 to the end of your dividend. So now you bring that second 0 down. You have 40 divided by 8, and if we know your multiplication, we know that is 5. 8 times 5 is 40. Now you have your 0 as a remainder. Okay, so your answer is 3.25. Okay, that is day 2. On day 3, we're looking at rounding decimals. Okay, if you remember back when we was rounding off money a few months ago, it's the same thing. And it's the same rules as it is when you have whole numbers and you're trying to round them off. Okay, so let's look at 0.88. Okay, it says go to the nearest tenth. All right, if you remember your decimals, tenths, hundredths. Okay, you trying to find the nearest tenth. This is an 8. You have 8 in your tenths place and 8 in your hundredths place. To round off, you look to the right of the place you're trying to find. This is tenths place, so you're looking at the hundredths. Okay. Remember, if the number to the right of your rounding number is 4 or less, you round down or stay the same. If it's 5 or more, you round off to the nearest tenth, or round it off to the nearest number. Okay? So we look at the 8, and directly to the right is another 8. 8 is more than 5, so this 8 here becomes a 9. So the nearest tenth is 0.9. Okay? The next one, 1.62. Okay? You can go ahead and write your 1 down over here, because it's not going to change, because we're not rounding to the nearest 1, we're rounding to the nearest tenth. So go ahead and write your 1. Go ahead and write your decimal. Now your 6 is in the 6 is in the tenths place. Directly to the right is a 2. 2 is 4 or less. Because of that, that 6 stays the same. So your answer is 1.6. And when you're rounding off with decimals, you don't put the zeros next to the numbers to the right of the numbers you're rounding. It's just 1.6 or 0.9. Okay. Couple more. This time we're doing to the nearest hundredth. Okay. You look in your decimal places again. And if you remember right, this is tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Remember, do not get confused. There is no 1th place. It's tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Okay? Because you're looking at the nearest hundredth, you can go ahead on this one and write your 0.8 down, because it's not going to change anything on this one, because we're looking at the nearest hundredth. Okay? So the 2 is in your hundredths place. And just like we did with tenths, you look to the number directly to the right of the hundredths place, which is 9. Same rules. Because 9 is more than 4, you go ahead and change that 2 to a 3. You round up. And see, you do not put a 0 or anything to the end here. And your next one is 2.493. Okay, still looking at hundredths. So you can go ahead and write your 2 down. You can go ahead and write your decimal down. You can go ahead and even write the 4 down, because that's your tenths place. You're looking at hundredths. And in your hundredths place is a 9. To the right of that 9 is a 3. 3 is 4 or less. So that 9 will stay the same. So you will have 2.49. Okay, you do not need to add a 0 because you're looking at the hundredths place. Okay, and dealing with that, we're going to be in day 3 also. We're going to be dividing while rounding off. Okay, so let me have a minute to erase the board here and write a new problem down, and I'll show you how to do that as well. All right, so let's look at, let's do 3a. You have 6 into 25. Okay. 6 goes into 25 4 times. 4 times 6 is 24. Okay. And 5 minus 4 is 1. Okay. Now, like we did in day 2, we have to start annexing some zeros. And when you do it, you first add a decimal here. So go ahead and put it in your quotient as well. And to the right of this decimal in your dividend, you put a 0. Bring down the 0. 6 goes into 10 one time. 1 times 6 is 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. Okay? Annex another 0. 6 in the 40 will go 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36. 10 minus 6 is 4. Okay? And your direction says round off to the nearest 10th. So for this, we can stop. Okay? You're trying to go to the nearest 10th. You had to go out to the hundredths place, though, to be able to round off to the nearest 10th. Okay? Yes, there is a remainder down here, but you only had to go to the hundredth place to be able to round. So you just kind of leave that 4 just kind of sitting by itself. All right? You don't have to do anything with that 4. But what you got to do, you got to come up to your quotient. You have 4.16. Okay? You're trying to round to the nearest 10th. The 1's in the 10th place. Right of that 1 is a 6. Because 6 is 5 or more, your answer will be 4.2. Because you've rounded off to the nearest 10th. Okay? And I'm going to do one more of these with you as well. This is going to be 4b. And it says round off to the nearest hundredth. So we have 7 in the 38. 7 in the 38 goes 5 times. 5 times 7 is 35. 8 minus 5 is 3. Go ahead and add your decimal. Go ahead and do a 0. Bring down the 0 down. Go ahead and put your decimal in your quotient. 7 in the 30 goes 4 times. 4 times 7 is 28. 30 minus 28 is 2. Okay, add another 0. 7 into 20 goes 2 times. That's 14. 20 minus 14 equals 6. Okay, and because this has the nearest hundredth, you have to go all the way out to your thousandths place to be able to round to the nearest hundredth. So you will put another 0. Bring down the 0. 7 in the 60 goes 8 times. 8 times 7 is 56. You have a remainder of 4. Okay? You don't even do anything with this 4, but you go back up to your quotient. It says to round off to the nearest hundredth. So you can go ahead and write a 5. You can go ahead and do your decimal. You can go ahead and put a 4. But you're rounding off to the nearest hundredth. Your 2's in the hundredths place. Right of that 2's an 8. 8 is more than 4. So that 2 goes up to a 3. So your answer is 5.3. 4, 3. Just like we did with the whole numbers and money and things like that, the same rounding rules apply. This takes care of days 1, 2, and 3 of our math unit 3. Thank you.